And I'm going to pull this clip up, and it was Dan Campbell praising Jameson Williams. And this, to me, is the type of content I needed. All right, I need it. So let's hear Dan Campbell praise Jameson Williams coming into this offseason.
Come back.
Yeah, look, there again, all right, so we started this thing, back in April, and, you got phase 1 for a couple of weeks. Then we've been on the grass for 3 weeks in phase 2, which has been routes on air and fundamentals and individual and doing all this. And then we're 2 practices in. And if you said, give me one player that is the most improved from that start to finish in that time, J-Mo would be that guy right now. All right, he is a man on a mission, and I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, I'm going to leave.
Man on a mission, Mike.
Breakout year incoming.
How are we feeling? I mean, J-Mo, I think, a lot of people wonder, at least this offseason, what kind of player he can turn into. We all have faith he's the only first-round pick in that wide receiver room. We know the talent he has. We always compliment J-Mo on the show. But, Mike, what is it? I mean, you got a guy like Dan Campbell talking about this guy has been impressing in showing up.
Honestly, it means a lot, not only because I want to see J-Mo succeed, but Dan Campbell always, even last year, when J-Mo wasn't up to par, he would kind of call him out on that, and you would see it in the press conferences. He wouldn't have the same reaction. To get a reaction like that, you can tell Dan Campbell isn't lying, just because on how critical he has been with him in the past. So that's the most exciting part of it for me. It's for real, and I think J-Mo is going to break out this year. And then J-Mo even acknowledged, I know we'll probably get to it later in the players' press conference, that he had a lot of growing up to do, and he's kind of more focused on football. So that's literally all you want to hear. You hear good things from J-Mo about him growing up, maturing, and then you hear great things from the coach about him, saying the man's on a mission. So like I said, J-Mo's breaking out this year.
Mm-hmm. Spot on. And you know what's the craziest thing to me is we talked about it a lot. Jameson Williams he was drafted 12th overall coming off of a knee injury, a major knee injury and surgery, and still drafted 12th overall. That's a man that has wide receiver 1 talent in this league, and he's just expected to be your wide receiver 2. The pressure, it's the same thing. Jeff is drafting a DB to a bad situation and sitting there saying, hey, we need you to produce instantly, like Jeff Okudah a couple years ago. It's just you're getting put back. No, J-Mo's in the best position that there is in the NFL right now, to where he has Amon-Ra St. Brown in front of him that has all the pressure of being a wide receiver 1 who's proven it. And now he can just be the wide receiver number 2. He can go out there. He doesn't have pressure to go out there and get 1,500 yards or 10 touchdowns. Just go out there and be Jameson Williams. Do what you need to do. And now on top of that, for him to let's take even less pressure off, guys. That man had a suspension last year. This offseason before, he was going through the knee surgery and the injury and recovering from that. And now this offseason, his first offseason, where he could just sit back and say, I can just focus on football. I know I'm going to be playing football this spring. I'm ready, or fall. I'm ready to roll. I have no other responsibilities besides this. No suspension, no injury, no nothing. It is all ball, and that's all I'm focused on. So, to me, for J-Mo, this is the least amount of pressure that you need for a guy with wide receiver 1 talent going into a football season. That much talent, just without a worry. And I think that's why, Dan, you see him having these improvements, being the most improved player so far in the spring. I think that's why you see it, is because he just his mind's clear, fellas. Imagine just doing something with a clear mind. He has nothing to worry about. All he needs to do is just go out there and be you. You don't need to get 1,500 yards. Just go play football. That'll happen on its own. And I think he knows that too now. He's realized that year 3 jump in the NFL is a real thing. And I think now that he's settled in, he knows what's going on.
Yeah, his start in the NFL has not been ideal. I mean, to that first season to have the ACL injury, not get the snaps he wanted. I get that. It's frustrating because he knows how good he is. But then the second year to be suspended, and then the team's playing well without him, and then he has to work his way into rotation, and guys are playing well above him. For someone like J-Mo, I'm excited. I think a fair expectation, I've been saying 800 yards because, and I'll tell you why. I think I talked about it in the video I posted today, and I saw some comments why 800 yards? And you have to think, okay, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to get 1,500 yards receiving, all right? Sam Laporta is going to get, I think he's 1,000-yard tight end. That's how good Sam Laporta is. So And you also have potentially 2,000-yard running backs. So we have to be kind of realistic here. Can JMO get 1,000 yards? It's 3,000-yard receivers and 2 almost 1,000-yard running backs. I would say no. So unless you want to say Sam Laporta gets 800 yards, maybe 800 yards, and then you're giving JMO 1,000 plus, then I can listen. Like that's fine. It's really pick your poison there. It's obviously we know Amon-Ra is going to get his. Then that's your argument. But to tell me like he's going to get 1,000, he's going to get 1,000. Also, JMO's going to get 1,000. Like we have to kind of relax here with that stuff. If he got 800 yards receiving, I would be very happy. I would be very happy. And I think that would to me would be just given the situation and how, because basically if you're counting Sam, because I would even count Sam Laporta guys as basically like a wide receiver. So he's going to get, he's kind of technically the third wide receiver. If you count Laporta, he's just a weapon. So, and then you have guys like, DPJ now, who's going to get some more targets this year. Khalif's always there. And you look at Jahmyr Gibbs and what he can be in the passing game. So, that to 800 yards for me is like, that's a good year. That's a good number 2, guys.
And two, like, I can't remember who said it on Twitter. I wish I could give the credit and kind of go, I can't remember who it was. But someone mentioned today, like they've seen JMO as one of the beat reporters about how you've seen JMO the last 2 years, and coming into today that he's looked the most confident he's ever looked out on the field. Like typically, you're running around, you're trying to figure out what's going on, the routes and everything. Maybe you don't have that confidence because you're just in the league, and you have to put in perspective that JMO hasn't had a ton of practice in the NFL with the injury and the suspension. And then when you get into the season, you're not sitting there doing training camp reps in the season. Like those are light practices. So like their reports are coming out that he's like that much more confident this year. He looks like he belongs out there and he's ready to go like a veteran. That's and Jeff, I'm with you. I would say the 800-yard mark to me is like I'm expecting that, to be honest. I'm just expect like go out there, get 700-800 yards. Like if you do that, I talk all the time about losing Josh Reynolds and kind of where you're replacing with that. That replaces Josh Reynolds times 2, because Josh Reynolds was getting 500, 600. You go out there and give me 800. Like I'm completely fine with that. And same having Laporta kind of get a couple extra there, and that's your offense, man, with Amon-Ra and Khalif and those guys, DPJ. I think that like I have a lot of confidence now. I told you guys last week.
Yeah,
told you guys last week. I just wanted to hear it.
I think 800 yards is fair, and that's like kind of spot on where he should be. But like, I'm not saying that he can't get 1,000, honestly, because you have a couple 100-yard games, 17-game season. He could very well get 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
But I think that it's not really about that. It's really about just fitting into the offense and finding those plays that are going to benefit you. Like last year, like Booner said, we were kind of working some things out in the past game, his route tree, whatnot. I think he just gets better on routes, finds plays that fits his scheme, fits him, catching him in stride and whatnot. And then I think he'll be fine. It's really not about getting 1,000 yards, getting more than that. I think he'll have plenty of chances to get in the end zone, no matter if that's running the ball or catching the ball. I think 800 yards to 1,000 yards, anywhere in between there. It's just about fitting into the offense. And I think he's going to be miles ahead of what Josh Reynolds meant to this offense. And so that's really all that matters. He's going to fit that wide receiver 2 slot.
I would love to see
way
that.
Better.
I would
Josh
love
Reynolds.
to see him take over that Josh Reynolds spot and be even better. That's what I'm
expecting.
expecting.
It's not.
You know what?
He's going to.
That's
be
what I'm
than Josh
expecting.
Reynolds.
That's my expectation for Jameson Williams. Go double, maybe double, not double. Go be 10 times better than what Josh Reynolds did to this offense. Don't drop passes. Go out there and make the big plays. He's done it. Yeah, he might have dropped some passes as well last year. Go out there and dominate. Go be a legit. I tweeted it today. I think Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and JMO can be one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. I'll die on that hill. Those ceilings, I will die on the hill.
And I want to get the narrative about drops kind of cleared up. I don't know where you guys are at with it. I think we're spoiled because we watch Amon-Ra St. Brown and he just doesn't drop anything that we kind of expect that out of other players. JMO may never, and I would probably bet he will never have Amon-Ra's type of hands. But that doesn't mean that's a rare thing in the NFL to be that reliable to catch, majority of the targets thrown your way. Like there's things you just can't control. Drops are, but JMO's a player that if he has a drop, he can make up for it with a big play, so
and
I'm not as like obsessed
throws,
with like the drops as maybe some other people.
He did drop some passes, but Goff threw a lot of them short, which made them hard catches for him and whatnot. And he's underthrown him many times. And JMO might not have St. Brown's hands, but St. Brown doesn't have JMO's speed, and he can't do some of the things that J-Mo can too. So there's both ways to look at it.
Every wide receiver in the NFL has different intangibles.
Yes,
and
yeah,
like J-Mo,
different skill sets.
there's probably a small group, if not like, I could count on one hand of wide receivers in the NFL that can catch the ball like Amon-Ra St. Brown. And we've been, like you said, Jeff, we have been very lucky on the Detroit Lions to have Amon-Ra St. Brown to be very consistent and reliable. That just because like you can't criticize a guy like, and that was why it was tough a little bit, at least for me, with the Josh Reynolds stuff in the NFC Championship game, because that was a big game. You expect to make those catches, but like if you're drawing those plays up again, like if you want reliability in the NFC Championship game, then go at your most reliable receiver, Amon-Ra, so he doesn't drop those. And then like that's what, like, you're gonna have drops this year with J-Mo. That's just what it is. But hopefully that you limit them. Like, you want to find every way to limit them, give them easier catches, all that. But I don't think there's going to even be a problem with that.
Yet it's also when you drop passes, because that matter.
Timing does matter.
Josh Reynolds was very reliable, and he dropped two of the biggest plays in this entire season, and now he's a drop artist. Like, the guy's
he caught everything. I think it might have been Klotz and I, or someone. It might have been one of us here. Like, I think before the NFC Championship game, Jeff, no, it might have been Klotz. I think we were on a show before the NFC Championship game the day before and mentioned how reliable, and how we should go back and clip that, actually, like how reliable and how Josh Reynolds never drops passes. And then that happened, and the whole narrative turned. Like, that was like, it's crazy.
It's the timing.